Shalawama, Shalawama. I'm Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm going to share with you some very, very interesting information from the book we've been doing in our astrotheology series. This is The Devil's Pulpit. Don't let the name spook you out. Let's see if I can get a better picture. You can download this for free on the internet. All right, so I'm giving you the source where I got this info from. It's on page 77. All right, it's on page 77 of the astrotheology book. Okay, the title is The Devil's Pulpit. So I'm going to get right into it. This is very interesting. It will make you think. All right, this will make you think. So let's give it a moment. I'm going to get my screen share together. All right, so give me one moment. Let's get the screen share going and invite your friends and family to this presentation. It's gonna be a doozy, guarantee you that. All right, it's gonna be fast, y'all. This is a fast presentation, but this is gonna give you something to think about, depending on who you are calling on. Okay, depending on who you are calling on. Let me make sure I got audio. Depending on who you are calling on. All right, we got audio. All right, make sure y'all share, like the video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, our Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, right? Make sure y'all subscribe. This is going to be very fast, so y'all ready? Don't get offended. All right, do not get offended. I'm merely presenting the information. I don't have a dog in this race, all right? Because I don't call on any of the deities, okay? And if you want to know why, come to our Saturday 9 a.m. class. It won't cost you anything, okay? Saturday 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You see the banner. So let's get into it, y'all. First, we're going to look at 1 Chronicles chapter 21, verse 1 in the Bible Hub. All right. Now, let's go ahead and consider several of these renderings by different Bible translators. Okay. We're in the Bible Hub, 1 Chronicles chapter 21, verse 1. Out of the New International Version, we read, Satan rose up against Israel and incited David to take a census of Israel. New Living Translation says, Satan rose up against Israel and caused David, y'all see that? Satan caused David to take a sentence of the people of Israel. Let's continue, all right? We're going to go into this because this is worth going through. Berean Study Bible. Then Satan rose up against Israel and incited David to take a census of Israel. King James Version. And Satan stood up against Israel and provoked David to number Israel. So now we see that Satan caused David, Satan incited David, and Satan provoked David to take a census of Israel. All right. New King James Version. Now Satan stood up against Israel and moved David to number Israel. New American Standard Version. Then Satan stood up against Israel. Against Israel. Y'all notice that. Against Israel, and incited David to count Israel. NASB 1995. Then Satan stood up against Israel and moved David to number Israel. NASB 1977. Then Satan stood up against Israel and moved David to number Israel. Amplified Bible. Satan, the adversary, stood up against Israel and incited David to count the population of Israel. Christian Standard Bible. Satan rose up against Israel and incited David to count the people. Y'all see, we're seeing basically the same rendering, right? We're seeing the same rendering of the Ibriath words into English. But I want to make the case. I want to be thorough because we're thorough at Zion Law School. Holman Christian Bible Standard. Satan stood up against Israel and incited David to count the people of Israel. American Standard Version. And Satan stood up against Israel and moved David to number the people. Aramaic Bible in plain English. And Satan stood up against Israel. And he urged David to number the people of Israel. The Britain Septuagint translation. And the devil stood up against Israel and moved David to number Israel. Contemporary English version. Satan decided to cause trouble for Israel. Satan decided to cause trouble for Israel by making King David think it was a good idea to find out how many people there were in Israel and Judah. Daweh rings, and Satan rose up against Israel and moved David to number Israel. Good News translation. Satan wanted to bring trouble on the people of Israel. So he made David decide to take a census. International Standard Version. Then Satan attacked Israel. Satan attacked Israel by inciting David to enumerate a census of Israel. JPS Tanakh 1917. And Satan stood up against Israel and moved David to number Israel. The Literal Standard Version. Then Satan stands up against Israel and persuades David to number Israel. A New American Bible. Satan. Satan implies that there's more than one, right, y'all? Satan rose up against Israel, and he incited David to take a sentence. Net Bible. An adversary opposed Israel, inciting David to count how many warriors Israel had. New Revised Standard Version. Satan stood up against Israel and incited David to count the people of Israel. New Heart English translation. And an adversary stood up against Israel and moved David to number Israel. World English Bible. Satan stood up against Israel and moved David to number Israel. Young's literal translation. And there standeth up an adversary against Israel and persuaded David to number Israel. So in each and every one of these Bible versions or versions of the Bibles, Satan is said to have incited, to have persuaded, to have moved, to have caused David to take a census of the people. One version said a Satan, right? An adversary, Satan, adversary, opposer. All right, these are the words that we saw. Stood up against, okay? Now, let's look at 2 Samuel chapter 24. Let me check the comments before we do that, y'all. If you want to put something in the comments, go ahead. If you want to call in, put a 1 in the chat, and I'll put the call-in phone number. Now let's get to the point of what we just went through. The profound point that will shake some people to their very core. That will shake some people to their very core and cause them to have cognitive dissonance and get angry. All right. But here it is. Here it is. I owe it to you to show you this. 2 Samuel chapter 24, verse 1 in the Bible Hub. 2 Samuel chapter 24, verse 1 in the Bible Hub. The New International Version reads, again, the anger of the capital Lord burned against Israel, and he incited David against them, saying, go and take a census of Israel and Judah. Who is capital Lord? Capital Lord is YHWH, the tetragrammaton. The tetragrammaton, that would be Yahuah, Yahweh, all of these variations of deity names. Does everyone see the point? Now what we're seeing is that Yahweh, Yahuah, whom the Hebrew Israelites are worshiping, the anger of Yahuah burned against Israel, and he incited David against them, saying, go and take a census of Israel and Judah. Now, if this is your first time hearing that capital Lord in all caps is always the tetragrammaton, take it easy. I'm going to show you. We're going to consider the rest of these versions. New Living Translation. Once again, the anger of the capital Lord, the tetragrammaton, burned against Israel, and he caused David to harm them by taking a census. Quote, go and count the people of Israel and Judah, unquote. The capital Lord told him. Capital Lord again is Yahuah, whom the Hebrew Israelites call on, whom Christians who are doing Judaism call on. English Standard Version. Again, the anger of the capital Lord was kindled against Israel, and he incited David against them, saying, go number Israel and Judah. Now, again, we saw in 1 Chronicles chapter 21, verse 1, that it was Satan who moved, who caused, who incited David to go take a census. So here we see the same story, but instead of Satan doing the action is done by the tetragrammaton, Yahuah, YHWH, right? Berean Study Bible. Again, the anger of the capital Lord burned against Israel. He, meaning the capital Lord, Yahuah, and Yahweh, stirred up David against them. Quote, go and take a census of Israel and Judah, end quote. King James Bible Version. And again, the anger of capital Lord was kindled against Israel. And he, that's Yahuah, Yahweh, all of that, the tetragrammaton, moved David against them, saying, go, number Israel and Judah. New King James Version. Again, the anger of the capital Lord was aroused against Israel, and he moved David against them to say, go, number Israel and Judah. New American Standard Version reads, and the anger of capital Lord burned against Israel. And the anger of the capital Lord burned against Israel again. And he, that's the deity, YHWH, Yahuah, however you want to pronounce it, Yahoo, the condensed form, whatever. And he incited David against them to say, go, count Israel and Judah. Now, in all of these verses so far, the tetragrammaton is doing harm to Israel. All right. So the action of Satan the devil is attributed to Yahweh, Yahuah, the tetragrammaton. Let's continue. All right. And you're going to see that as we move further down. NASB 1995. Now again, the anger of the capital LRD burned against Israel, and it incited David against them. Go, number Israel and Judah. NASB 1977. Now again, the anger of the tetragrammaton burned against Israel, and it incited David against them to say, go, number Israel and Judah. Again, we see capital Lord doing the dirty work that is attributed to Satan, the devil. Amplified Bible. Now again, the anger of the capital Lord burned against Israel, and he incited David against them to say, go, count the people of Israel and Judah. Standard, Christian Standard Bible. And the capital Lord's anger burned against Israel again, and he stirred up David against them. He stirred up David against his own people, Israel, to say, quote, go count the people of Israel and Judah, end quote. Holman Christian Bible, Holman Christian Standard Bible. The Lord's anger burned against Israel again, and he, that's capital He, stirred up David against his own people, Israel, to say, quote, go count the people of Israel and Judah. American Standard Version. And again, the anger of, now we see the deity, the anger of Jehovah, the anger of the tetragrammaton. This is, according to the Hebrew Israelites, Yahuah or Yahuah. Again, the anger of the Hebrew Israelites' deity, the anger of the Hebrew Israelites' power was kindled against Israel. And he moved David against them, saying, go, number Israel and Judah. Aramaic Bible in plain English. And the anger of capital Lord, Yahuah, Jehovah, Yahweh, Yahoo, increased greatly in Israel and provoked David against them. And he said to him, go, number Israel and Yehudah. Brenton Septuagint translation reads, and the Lord, that's the capital L, lowercase Lord, still the tetragrammaton, caused his anger to burn forth again in Israel, and Satan, now y'all see that? And Satan stirred up David against them, saying, go, number Israel and Judah. Why, scholars, why does Brenton Septuagint translation inject Satan? Why do they inject Satan? Use your critical thinking, analytical mind. No version uses Satan until now. Why? The answer should be clear, because 2 Samuel chapter 24, verse 1 clearly attributes the action of Satan the devil to Yahuah, the Hebrew Israelites' power, to Jehovah, the Christians' power, to Yahweh, the Jewish people's power. So the Brenton Septuagint translation decided to throw in Satan so that you would not see that Satan and the Tetragrammaton are the same deity, according to 1 Chronicles chapter 21, verse 1, and 2 Samuel chapter 24, verse 1. Because the action of Satan, the devil, is attributed to Yahuah, Yahweh, Jehovah, Yahuah. You make your own decision. You make your own decision, but we clearly see that Brenton Septuagint translation came to that same conclusion, so they injected the word Satan. All right, but you make your own decision. My work is to present you with the evidence, and you use your own critical thinking, your own analytical mind to make your own decisions. I have nothing to do with that. The contemporary English version reads, the capital Lord, that's the Tetragrammaton, was angry with Israel again, and he made David think it would be a good idea to count the people in Israel. So in every case, we're seeing he, but in the Brenton Septuagint translation, we see the injected Satan. I hope everyone can see this. Put your thoughts in the comments so far. Put your thoughts in the comments so far. Do you agree? Or how do you decide? Or what do you see as happening in these two verses? 1 Chronicles 21, verse 1, and 2 Samuel 24, verse 1. How do you, scholar, square this? Put it in the comments. Help somebody. Don't keep your thoughts to yourself. Don't be selfish. And don't be scared. Don't be scared. Contemporary English version. The capital Lord, that is the Tetragrammaton, was angry with Israel. And he, okay, and he, that means Yahuah, made David think it would be a good idea to count the people in Israel and Judah. And he, according to the Brenton Septuagint, he is Satan. All right. All right. This is the injected Satan. Okay. Let's continue. Dawei Reams Bible. And the anger of capital Lord, lowercase ord, was again kindled against Israel and stirred up David among them, saying, go number Israel and Judah. The Good News translation reads, on another occasion, the capital Lord was angry with Israel, and he made David bring trouble to them. See, he again, just like in all other versions except that one, the Brenton, he is the Tetragrammaton, Yahuah, the Hebrew Israelites' power. International Standard Version. Later, capital GOD's anger blazed forth against Israel. So he, that's capital GOD, of course, that's the Tetragrammaton, right? That's the Tetragrammaton, whom the Hebrew, not all Hebrew Israelites, but the majority of them call capital GOD, the Tetragrammaton. They refer to that as being the Most High. That is their power. So he incited David to move against them, that is Israel, by telling them, go take a census of Israel and Judah. JPS Tanakh. And again, the anger of the capital Lord was kindled against Israel, and he, that's the capital Lord, the Tetragrammaton, Yahuah, the Hebrew Israelites' deity, the Jewish people's deity, the Christians' deity, the Hebrew roots people's deity, moved David against them, saying, go, number Israel and Judah. Literal Standard Version. The anger of the YHWH. Is it clear? Is it clear? Even for the person who is new, we now have seen capital LORD. We saw capital L, lowercase ORD. We saw capital GOD. We saw Jehovah. Now we see the tetragrammaton. So for those of you who are new, it is abundantly clear who this deity is. Literal Standard Version reads, and the anger of YHWH, who is the tetragrammaton, and all the deities who we named, adds to burn against Israel. And an adversary, y'all got that? Literal Standard Version again reads, and the anger of the tetragrammaton adds to burn against Israel, and an adversary moves David about them, saying, go number Israel and Judah. So now, what are we to see here? There's two ways you can look at this, depending on, at least from my point of view, maybe you all think something different. It says here, and an adversary, is this rendering using adversary as a synonym to Satan? Or is this rendering using an adversary as identifying YHWH as an adversary to Israel? You decide. That's your decision to make. At least you are aware of what the text is saying. Isn't that right? But you make your own decision. Uh-oh, hold on, let me go back. I lost what happened? Hold on, y'all. For some reason, I lost the web page. But I'll pull it back up. Give me 1 second. I'll get it back. Let me make sure you guys can still see what I see. Give me 1 second. I have to stop the share and I have to pull it back up. The screen, it just disappeared. All right. So let's pull it back up. Give me 1 second. I hope y'all are enjoying this. I'm gonna go back to your comments as soon as I get to there's just a few more to go, and then I'm going to read off your comments and let's have a lively discussion about this. This is big stuff, y'all. This is big stuff. All right. So where were we? Oh, here we are. We were on the literal standard version. So we have to go through all of these so that there's nothing that anyone can say against this, right? Because we're covering at least everything here, right? Making the strongest possible case as possible using these tools. New American Bible says the capital LORD's anger, that's possessive, against Israel flared again, and he, y'all see that? He, the tetragrammaton, Yahuah, the deity, the power of the Hebrew Israelites. And he incited David against them. Quote, go, take a census of Israel and Judah. Net Bible, the capital LORD's anger raged against Israel, and he incited David against them, saying, go count Israel and Judah. New Revised Standard Version. Again, the anger of capital LORD was kindled against them, and he incited them, saying, go count the people of Israel and Judah. So all of these verses so far, all of these translations so far have said exactly the same thing, except for one, which inserted Satan, and the other version implied that there was an adversary, but it was not clear whether or not capital LORD is the adversary or Satan is the adversary, right? Wasn't clear, at least not to me. New Heart English Bible. Again, the anger of capital LORD was kindled against Israel, and he, that is the tetragrammaton, moved David against them, saying, go, number Israel and Judah. World English Bible, again, the anger of Yahweh. Do y'all see it? Yahweh. So now we've had every version. We saw Jehovah. We saw the tetragrammaton, YHWH. We see Yahweh. We see we've seen capital L-O-R-D, right? We've seen capital L, lowercase L-O-R-D. We saw capital G-O-D, right? Okay, so it is clear who's being spoken of. This is the same deity that the Hebrew Israelites call the Most High, who is attributed with doing the actions of Satan the devil. World English Bible, again, the anger of Yahweh was kindled against Israel, and he moved David against them, saying, go, number Israel and Judah. Young's literal translation, and the anger of Jehovah added to burn against Israel. And then adversary moved David about them, saying, go, number Israel and Judah. So here we see again an insertion, right? All right, so I hope this is clear. Who is the adversary? So is the adversary Satan, or is the adversary Jehovah? It's pretty clear to me who the adversary is. Is it clear to you? Right? Why didn't they put Satan? Why didn't they put Satan? All right. That's my question. Let me check the chat, y'all. We can do one more thing too. Let me check the chat. All right. So let me check the chat. All right. Keith White. Keith White says, has it started? Yeah, we started. Okay. Jerice, Shalawama. Jerice says, hi, everyone. All right. Let me keep this going. All right. So, all right. Most High Servant Michael the Great Prince says, are you sure? Sure about what, Michael? Most High Servant Michael the Great Prince says, I'm confused then. What is the real name of the Most High? Well, I can tell you right now, Michael, that based upon your question, which is the question that almost everyone has, you're going down the wrong road, because name is not a Hebrew concept. Animals have names. Objects have names. Men and women and powers have appellations. We have appellations. So do you see how we've been trained to search for a name, right? To search for a name. You're going down the wrong road. The Most High has an appellation. In fact, Most High is an appellation, isn't it? It is a title. But that's a very long story. If you come to class Saturday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'll flush it out for you. I'll show you what it is, okay? Saturday, 9 a.m., it's a live online class. I'll show you, but you have to come to class to see. Darrell-El says, Satan just means adversary. That is correct. Adversary is someone who is against you. That's right. If you are not following Torah, you are an adversary, and the contract the contract states he will become our adversary if we won't follow. I think you're talking about the curses. Very good. Excellent, excellent, excellent. And y'all keep in mind, go watch a video. I did a video on who is Satan or something like that. You'll see it. I think it's Cardi B. She's wearing red. Y'all watch that video. Darrell-El is exactly correct. Christianity And Hebrew Israelites teach that the devil or Satan is a real person, y'all. Okay. But watch that video before you make a decision. Watch the video that I did, and then you can get the real information on it, and then make your own decision, right? Make your own decision. The question is the devil, is Satan, this powerful angel who is against you, out to get you? All right. Who's the cause of all evil and wickedness? And y'all know the whole story, right? Most High Servant Michael the Great says only the KJV and or Matthew Tyndale can be trusted. Well, we saw Matthew, right? We saw Matthew. We saw what the KJV said. It attributed the action of Satan in 1 Chronicles 21:1 to the action of the Tetragrammaton. Okay. So Most High Servant says, I understand the language is very crooked. Thanks for letting me know. Most definitely, most definitely. And this is fun. This is fun stuff, right? When you begin to discover this type of information, is liberating. It gives you something to think about. It gives you something to talk about with other people. But it also liberates your mind, because it's either going to, one, strengthen your belief, if that's what you're into, right? Strengthen your belief. Okay. Or it's going to say, well, wait a minute, I should not believe this, and I need to let this go. Or it's at least going to put you on the path to more research, right? So that's why it's always good to learn, to know what's happening with these verses. Now let's see if we can find the Tyndale. All right, let's see how the Tyndale renders this, if we can find it. Okay, we'll see how the Tyndale renders. So let me scan through here, see if I can find it real quick. I'll go back and I'll review the KJV. Let's see if we can see the Tyndale. All right. So let's see. Geneva Bible renders it capital L-O-R-D. All right. Bishop's Bible renders it capital L-O-R-D. Coverdale Bible renders it capital L-O-R-D-E. So these are all Bibles that I just mentioned that were from the 1500s. All right. So there is no Tyndale here. Okay. There's no Are y'all? Let me make sure y'all can, that I'm sharing the screen. Let me make sure I'm sharing the screen. Give me 1 second, y'all. I think I'm sharing the screen, but let me check it again. So again, this is not meant to offend anybody. This is just so that you will have the information. Okay, you will have the information. All right, and so that you are aware. Because why? What's the issue we're dealing with? Exodus chapter 20, verse 1 through 3. The first commandment is don't bring another power before my face. I'm going to show you that. The first commandment is don't bring another power before my face. All right. So now let's show it. Let's show the importance of this. All right. So Darrell-El says, Sword Bible has Matthew Tyndale. Okay, let me go back and check for sword. All right. Let me check for the sword. All right. So let's see. Michael Servant says, when is that Saturday lesson? It's at 9 a.m. The links are in the description area of this video. Okay. The links are in the description area of the video. Okay. Let me see. Let's see. So let me check Darrell-El to see if I can find the sword. Most High Servant Michael the Great Prince says, the English language, my research has found that English is synonymous to dragon worship when you go in depth. Wow. You know, I would love to hear more about that. Most High Servant Michael, that's really interesting to me. Really, really interesting to me. Okay, Darrell-El says the Bible, Sword Bible has Matthew Tyndale. Let me show that on the screen for those people who come after us. All right. So y'all put your questions, also answers. If you got information related to this topic, please put it in the comment section for people who come and watch this to benefit from it, even if it's against what was presented here. Put it in there because it'll help somebody. I'm sure it'll help somebody. I need to show Darrell-El's comment. Satan just means adversary. Adversary is someone who is against you. If you are not following Torah, you are an adversary. And the contract states he would become our adversary if we won't follow. All right. That's 100% right. The Most High will curse us, right? Meaning punishment with death, disease, poverty, all those terrible things we don't want. All right. Let me show the comments. Most High Servant Michael says, I'm confused then. What is the real name of the Most High? That's the trick bag because it's not a name. It is a appellation. All right. And y'all see the arguments are made over names, right? Those names keep us in violation. In violation of what? Let me show you. In violation of the very first commandment. All right, let me show it. Keeps us in violation of the very first commandment, and therefore keeps us in this in the curses, right? The worst thing you can do, the worst thing we can do is call on another power. That is absolutely the worst thing we can do, y'all. So let me make sure y'all can see this. I'm at Exodus chapter 20. I'm at Exodus chapter 20. This is why this is important. This is why I presented this information, because I want our people to go into the blessings. I'm tired of the curses. I'm sure y'all are too. I want to reap the benefits of being Yasharallah. Exodus chapter 20, verse 1. And the Most High spoke all these words. I am the Most High, your power, who brought you out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. You shall have no other powers before me. You shall have no other powers before me. That is why I presented this presentation. 4, you shall not make for yourself an image in any form of anything in heaven above, or on the earth beneath, or in the waters. You shall not bow down to them or worship them. For I, the Most High, am your power, am a jealous power, punishing. Y'all see that? Punishing. Correlate punishing back to Deuteronomy chapter 28, 15 through 68. You'll get all of the curses written in the book of the law that was given to Moses. Punishing the children for the sins of their parents to the 3rd and 4th generations of those who hate me, but showing love. Correlate that back to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 1 through 14, the blessings, but showing love to thousands of generations of those who love me and keep my commandments. So there you have it. Let's consider verse 7. You shall not misuse the name. Now remember, I've educated you. I've made you aware that name is not a Hebraic concept, right? Names are for animals and objects. Okay, so if you do the etymological research on this word that's rendered, on the Ibriath word that's rendered name, you're going to see that it comes back to appellation. All right, reputation. Appellation. You shall not misuse the reputation. You shall not misuse the reputation of the Most High, your power. For the Most High will not hold anyone guiltless who misuses his reputation. All right. That's all I got for y'all, y'all. I hope that everyone learned something. At least everyone has something to think about, something to talk about with your friends and family. Spread the message or share this video far and wide, y'all. Let's get back into the blessings. Let's get out of these curses. Okay, let's stop. Well, let me speak for myself. I do not call on deities. Okay, I don't call on deities for the reasons I just read in Exodus chapter 20. I call on the Most High. That is an appellation. I hope that you will study, scholars. I hope that you will study this topic. Watch this video again. Teach it. Teach it to your friends and family. Rip it up, tear it apart. Say what's right with it. Say what's wrong with it. Whatever your point of view is. My goal is to educate you, to give you information to think about. And then you make your own decisions with it. But you are power. You're power when you have the information. And I want the blessings, not just for me, but for us as a nation. So now let me go back to Most High's servant Michael's comment. There are no links under this video description. Should I just go through the links in your channel bio? There's no links in the description? Give me 1 second. I'm going to put it in the yeah, the links are in other videos. The links are in other videos, but let me see if I can grab it for you. All right. I put it in there. The link is 506, the curses course. 506, the curses course. Check that. You should see it. 506, the curses course. Some people unsubscribed, y'all. Oh, it's funny. You know, I get a kick out of this. It's not like I made the stuff up, you know. So I'm on my YouTube channel getting you the link, and I just noticed that some people unsubscribed. So yeah, the link is 506 the curses. Let me put the link in the chat. But there's nothing I can do about that. All right. Darrell-El, hold on. Let me put this in the chat, y'all. So Saturday's class. Hold on, y'all. I gotta. Every Saturday's class. All right. So let me put the link. All right. So the link is in the chat. Let me go through the comments. All right. Darrell-El says etymology of reputation, reputation, credit, good reputation, esteem, late. Okay. So that's the comment right there. Let's go to Darrell-El's next comment. Good credit, our people have a problem with yeah. That was a good one, Darrell. You made me laugh on that one. All right, that's the link for Saturday's class. I saw it in the video. Okay, Most High's servant Michael says, ITE, thanks. All right. So y'all, that's my motive. If you were offended, no offense intended, but it is what it is. When I come up with something like this, I have to share it, right? I feel some sort of a duty and responsibility to put it out there, because if I know and I don't share it, then how can I look at people with a straight face saying I'm trying to help, right? Most High servant Michael says, good to see there is still a remnant following the Most High. The Most High power bless all of you. Yes, indeed. Shalawama, brother. Appreciate that. So y'all, it is what it is, you know. It is what it is, and we have to make it do what it do with what we have, right? We have to make it do what it do with what we have. And when we come across these things, what else are we supposed to do? Right? I mean, some people gonna get angry. It's cognitive dissonance as far as I can see. But anyway, no harm intended. And I hope that this benefits everybody. If y'all have some topic y'all want me to cover, put it in the chat. Or if you know something, you want to present it, you're more than welcome to present it, okay? On Zion Law School platform. You're more than welcome to present it. I only ask that you present from an academic or scholarly point of view and that you don't evangelize, all right? But the people should know. And that's really all I have to say, y'all. I don't really have anything else to say. Tonight, 9:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're doing the next astrotheology chapter in the Devil's Pulpit. And y'all remember, I got these verses from the Devil's Pulpit on page 77. You can download the book yourself. He has some really incredible stuff in here. And he doesn't deal with the using doctrine and theology. He supports his claims with evidence and facts using philology, linguistics, etymology, church father writings, and history, and also, believe it or not, architecture. He goes in and he talks about the design of cathedrals and statues in cathedrals and how these all correlate with his claim that the Gospels are astrotheology. He also claims that the Old Testament too, but from what I've seen so far, he doesn't have a strong argument at all about the Old Testament being astrotheology, right? I mean, it's a very weak argument, but that's my opinion. Y'all can watch all the videos. They're number 1 through 28. I think today is going to be number 28. Right? Today is going to be number 28. The topic of today's astrotheology presentation right here is Judas Iscariot vindicated. Judas Iscariot vindicated. This is a sermon that Reverend Robert Taylor gave on March 6, 1831. So that's a long time ago, y'all. 1831. The schedule, the weekly schedule, I'm doing astrotheology, the Devil's Pulpit, every day until we finish the book. Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So all times are Eastern Standard Time. Monday, 9 p.m. Tuesday, 10 p.m. Wednesday, 10 p.m. Thursday, 10 p.m. Friday, 9 p.m. Saturday, 8 p.m. and Sunday, 2 p.m. That's the schedule, all Eastern Standard Time. So again, I want to thank everyone for being here, spending your afternoon with me. Darrell-El says names cannot capture the full magnitude of what our Creator does. Excellent point. Excellent point. So a name is weak, is a weak form of a man trying to condense all the Creator is in one name. That's an excellent point. Think about the application or the appellation, the title Most High. Most High means what? There's nothing higher. There's nobody higher. Short, simple, to the point. Easy concept, right? Easy concept. Excellent. Most High Servant Michael says the Zoom page says temporarily unavailable. It will come up on Saturday. Are you serious? Is that right? Unable to display this page. Zoom is temporarily unable to. Oh man. Well, I don't know what to say. Can you check it? Hold on. Let me check the link in a different video. This is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Let me check. Let me pull the link from another video to see if we're having the same problem. Give me 1 second. Oh, man. But I'm not going to let this frustrate me, y'all, because it very easily could. I'm always having problems getting online. Always a problem. Always a problem with my lives. So let me go to some earlier videos and pull this, okay? So let me see if I can get this. Give me 1 second, please. So let me try it. So I have another one. Give me 1 second. Let me drop this in. Y'all tell me if this works. There you go. Can you tell me if that one is working? It's unbelievable. I'm glad you told me that because I was not aware that the link is not working. 1 second. Okay, now, no, it's not. Unable to display this link. Zoom is temporarily unable. Maybe they're doing work. Maybe they're doing work on the website. I don't know. I'm gonna check it. Y'all. I'm gonna check it. Oh, man. Roderick's point of view. Good evening. Welcome. This is what I got to go through, y'all. Jerry says, "Cause you got that truth." Well, man, I'm just trying to help our people, man, get out of the grip of this religion, which has got us totally screwed, right? Most High Servant Michael says the workers of inequity have a hold on the internet, can lie, most definitely. Well, y'all, I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to take care of it. I wonder if all my other videos, yeah, I took the link from a video I did a long time ago. Right? The link for the registration. Well, I'll get it. I'll get it together. Don't worry about it. I'll get something together. I'll get it together. Let me see if I can go back further and get a different link. Give me 1 second. Let me see. Give me 1 second, y'all. I'm gonna drop another link. I'm gonna test it first before I put it in the chat. Or better yet, let me just send it to you. Let me just put it. Can you check that one out? Can y'all check that link and see if it's working? Yeah, the page comes up, but then it goes to the error page. Unable. Don't worry, I'm gonna contact Zoom and ask them what the deal is. What's happening? Why is it not working? It comes up, but then it goes to an error, right? So anyway, let me show y'all these verses so y'all could have them fresh in mind. I'm not going to do any commentary. I just want y'all to be able to see them and have them in mind. All right. So this is Bible Hub. This is 2 Chronicles 21. 1 Chronicles 21, verse 1. Y'all see it here. This is the one dealing with Satan. Satan is the one who's taking the action, right? All right. The next one, let me show that for y'all. And this is our summary, and then we're gonna end, and I'll see you all at 9 tonight. The next one is 2 Chronicles 24, verse 1. We are here in the Bible Hub. Okay, everybody see that? 2 Chronicles 21, verse 4, we see capital L-O-R-D. And further down the page, we start seeing the divine names, right? We start to see the divine names as we go down the page. All right. And then finally, the reason why this is critically important, is because of Exodus chapter 20. Give me 1 second. Let me pull that up. This is critically important because of Exodus chapter 20. All right. And let me, oh, here we are. Exodus chapter 20, which is the 10 Commandments. Okay, this is the NIV. I only chose NIV because it's at the top of the page. All right. It's critically important because of here. You shall have no other powers before me. All right. All right. So in summary, Satan, the devil, and the tetragrammaton, the Yahuah, all of that stuff, according to those verses we consider are the same person, same power, same deity. All right, y'all. Thanks for joining me. And I will see you all tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm going to contact Zoom and figure out what the heck is going on with the link. All right. Shalom, family.